The Rock vs Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart vs Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan vs Randy Savage, Rusev vs Titus O'Neil. What all of these have in common? They're some of the best WWE rivalries of all time. Well, except maybe for one, Austin vs Rock. During the rich history of the WWE, we got a bunch of great rivalries. We got so many actually that it's pretty hard to decide which one was the best. So I found this WWE tier maker list of the best rivalries. So in this video, we are going to rank them. Obviously, I didn't make this. That's why we have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Did we even get that? Was that even a rivalry ever? I'm pretty sure this list lacks like 80% of the best WWE rivalries. But we're gonna work with what we have. So basically, S is very good, A is good, B is decent, C is normal, kinda-ish, because I'm pretty sure none of these rivalries were actually bad. But people, you don't want to end up on poo-poo. Never. Never on poo-poo. So let's start with the first one. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. It's a poo-poo. I mean, it has a lot of potential, but I don't remember this rivalry ever. When was the when did we get that? I remember maybe Seth Rollins returning and challenging Roman Reigns for the championship, but it was a bad rivalry. The Shield rivalry after they split was Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and even that doesn't really deserve to be on this list. That is poo-poo. Who made this? That is poo-poo. Okay, so obviously, I probably wasn't even born during this rivalry. Steamboat versus Flair. But I do know a couple of things about it, because I have the WWE Network, and even before that, WWE keep pushing these old videos down your throat. You get the point. It's probably a very good rivalry, but from my personal experience, well, I didn't get to experience it. I'm just gonna put it in B because I do appreciate the history. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho might be my favorite WWE storyline of all time. I don't know if that's true, if that's legit. I'm just saying that this was the rivalry that I watched the most in like 2011, 12, when I, found ways to watch some WWE stuff. So I'm gonna put it at S. I loved it as a kid. I was shocked when Chris Jericho smashed Shawn Michaels' head through the screen. Remember that? Absolutely amazing. And ever since that moment, Chris Jericho completely changed his gimmick. He lost the Intercontinental Championship. He got even more angry. He started coming out with a suit and tie. He started talking really slowly. And this honestly was my favorite era of Chris Jericho. The man was on a whole different level. And obviously we needed Shawn Michaels for that as well. He was kinda not necessarily an underdog, but Chris Jericho was cheating all the time, and you get the point. I'm pretty sure even Jericho said that this was his favorite WWE rivalry he ever had. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. Obviously, I didn't watch wrestling yet. I was probably 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. But it's one of these rivalries that I know what happened. I've seen basically everything, because if you are a wrestling fan, it doesn't matter when you started watching wrestling. You know this rivalry. You watched it. You've probably seen it on YouTube, not even WWE Network. You've seen some of the best segments, some of the best matches, you've seen all the WrestleMania matches. That's the thing about wrestling. You don't have to watch in 85 to know everything what happened. I used to get comments, you were still in diapers when Goldberg was having that undefeated streak. Dude, I know what happened. Obviously, that belongs in S category. John Cena versus Edge. If you would ask someone, what was the biggest Ruthless aggression rivalry? Not necessarily the best, but the biggest, or PG era. People would probably say Randy Orton versus John Cena. Yes, Edge versus Cena was very good, but the main rivalry of that era, the rivalry that defines the era, is Randy Orton versus John Cena. I would put this at A because it's still very, very good. I remember in Lithuania back in the day when I was a kid, people would watch WWE, associate John Cena with his hero, the best WWE superstar, the strongest. And Edge was always associated with the guy who was gonna hit you with a chair, with a cheater. People hated Edge, man. This guy was a great heel. But my problem was, I like the heels more than baby faces, and I don't know why. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Obviously one of the biggest WWE rivalries of all time. That is the biggest rivalry of the current era. I don't know how it's called, but this is the biggest rivalry of today's era, unfortunately. But man, yes, they main evented a bunch of WrestleManias and crap, I don't care. It was never accepted by the fans. I would want to put it at C, but I never ever liked it. Ever. I'm gonna put it at poo-poo. It really is a poo-poo. Now, if we would have more like A, B, C, D, E, maybe it would be at E or even D. It's not that bad, but I cannot put it right here. It's a little bit of a poo-poo when it comes to the greatest, rivalries of all time. We're talking about the greatest, not, Vince McMahon's wet dreams. Anyway, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon has to go right here, and only because, we didn't get great matches. Obviously, it was more of a story-driven rivalry, but I'm gonna put it right here because this possibly was the biggest reason why WWE or WWF defeated WCW in ratings. Ever since Stone Cold Steve Austin started beating the crap out of Vince McMahon, that's when wrestling changed. I feel like people just, during that era wanted something edgy. They wanted to see some dude beating the crap out of the boss because that's what they actually wanted to do in their shitty jobs. It worked for that era. I believe it would even work right now. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker was something special, man. Possibly the best rivalry of that era. Man. Now, a lot of people are arguing which match was better, WrestleMania 25 or WrestleMania 26. I don't know, man. Maybe the match itself was better at WrestleMania 25. That's what people keep telling me. But I do appreciate WrestleMania 26. And that's because of the story. That's because of the retirement stipulation. Shawn Michaels had to retire. This match was special. This match was really something special. So I'm gonna put it at as... Wasn't that the best Undertaker's WrestleMania rivalry? It's difficult for me to give an opinion on Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage for obvious reasons, but I do appreciate the history. I'm gonna put it at B. I do like the fact that it was one of the first rivalries that had a tag team splitting up. At least the first famous that kind of rivalry. Very good. Randy Orton versus Triple H. Now look, people, that is a personal one because I started watching wrestling when Evolution betrayed Randy Orton. So obviously, I love this. In reality, people didn't really accept Randy Orton as a babyface. Obviously, I've rewatched that on the WWE Network, and it's not the same, I had a different kind of idea about the storyline. But we're also talking about the 2009 storyline. That was probably better. But obviously, the 2004 rivalry was a lot more personal. I'm gonna put it at S, and that's because it's personal to me. Randy Orton versus John Cena. Yeah, man, yeah. I don't know what to say. Yes, it is the rivalry that defines the era, in my opinion. But it wasn't that good. It was decent, but I honestly don't remember that many good moments of this rivalry. Honestly. I'm gonna put it at B. I think. Seems like, yeah, this rivalry defined the era, but maybe this rivalry was better after all. Maybe it was. I remember a lot more cool moments. Obviously, these two were the faces of the WWE, but their rivalries together were not that impressive. Roman Reigns versus Triple H, an absolute poo-poo, man. Poo-poo. That was bad. Look, people, out of any modern WWE WrestleMania, this match was the worst. And I'm not even talking about the quality of the match. People didn't care. Triple H is the WWE champion. Roman Reigns might win the title. He wins the championship and that's it. He doesn't turn heel. Nothing happens. That was bad. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. So we're talking about the whole storyline. I'm gonna put it at C. I liked it. I really liked it. It was weird, the way Brock Lesnar lost in a few seconds. But the WrestleMania match was good and they fixed their previous terrible match. it's decent. I'm not the biggest fan. I think it deserves a C. You know, it's Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. You don't need a lot of writing for this one. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant is basically a body slam at WrestleMania, brother. Man, I do appreciate the history, the visual. It was probably huge back then. I'm gonna put it at C. John Cena versus CM Punk easily gets an S. Dude, CM Punk brought back so many wrestling fans to watch the product again. It's unbelievable. CM Punk was absolutely perfect for that era because we needed someone who tells us the truth, not this PG crap that we got tired of. Everything felt so manufactured, so fake, and CM Punk was the guy who was like, okay, let's keep it real. And that's why fans fell in love with him. He's not also the WWE guy, you know. So, man, we have this WWE hero versus someone that adults find cool. And I also like the way the story was written. So, man, one of the best rivalries of all time. The best rivalry of that era. Was it called Reality Era or something like that? I'm not quite sure. Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. You cannot put it... Yeah, it just has to be right here. This one is just... I'm not even gonna talk about it. It's Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. I wish I experienced that live, man. John Cena versus The Rock is the match of the ages. It's the once in a lifetime, except it's two, and I loved it. Obviously, The Rock, you know, John Cena, obviously, I was rooting for The Rock. It wasn't perfect, but it was really, really good. And maybe that's an unpopular opinion, I'm not quite sure. But it's basically The Rock versus Hulk Hogan of that era. The Rock versus John Cena. It needed to happen, and I'm thankful that it did. I was just not a big fan of the second match. But this was huge, man. And I was shocked that The Rock won. Very good rivalry. Maybe an unpopular opinion, I'm not quite sure. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H will be on A. I don't remember a lot of it because I didn't watch wrestling back then. But from what I saw, it was very, very good. Very good. You know, Shawn Michaels comes back to the WWE, gets betrayed by Triple H. We got this rivalry, SummerSlam, dude. Very special. Steve Austin versus Triple H is another special one. But I believe the best part of that rivalry was the fact that they were in a tag team. Imagine that. Triple H and Stone Cold Steve Austin in a tag team. You're effed, my man. You're effed. I'm gonna put it at C. Is not that phenomenal. You know? And maybe you will be angry that I've put Randy versus John Cena above this one. But people, you need to understand. Some of these come from my personal experience. You know, the way I remember it on television. The way I felt about it. Then we have Triple H versus The Rock. I don't know a lot about the storyline, man. I really don't. I know the Intercontinental Championship match, but that was probably before even that picture was taken. I've seen a few matches, but it's not that iconic. I'm gonna put it at C as well. Triple H versus Batista is another personal one. You know, Triple H, Batista, Evolution, my favorite faction, Randy Orton, my favorite superstar. I also dug Triple H and Batista, dude. I'm gonna put it at B. Kane versus The Undertaker gets a B or A? Okay, A, it's A. Obviously, I wasn't that big of a fan of their 2010 rivalry, but the first ones probably were amazing. You know, the debut of Kane, and I don't know how good the matches were. I really should check that out. I don't remember. But it's Kane versus The Undertaker, brother versus brother, two giants. Obviously, it's a good rivalry. You don't need a lot in this one. Triple H versus Daniel Bryan. It's not really Triple H versus Daniel Bryan. It's more of a Daniel Bryan's journey to the top. I'm gonna treat it at that because it was Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, it was Daniel Bryan versus Batista, it was Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton, it was Daniel Bryan against the whole roster. I'm gonna put it right here, man. This story is the reason why WrestleMania 30 is one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. So this is my list. Let me know your favorite WWE rivalry of all time in the comments below. And thank you for watching the video. Thegreatone, peace, love, and hugs. It's been a pleasure.